What's up guys, welcome to your 24th After Effects tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be going over some things that are going to help you a ton when working with 3D and After Effects. So go ahead and make a new composition or drag something into the composition panel, doesn't really matter, and go ahead and resize it so it's only a portion of your background, and this is going to help you see what we're about to do. Another thing you want to do is go ahead and turn on your 3D, since that's what we're going to be working with. Now the first thing I want to talk to you guys is about anchor points, and that's this little point right here with all the arrows sticking out of it. Now another kind of name for anchor point is the pivot point. So if you see, if we change the X rotation and Z rotation, this might be a little more clear, then we see that everything's kind of pivoting around this one point. But sometimes we want to make it where we don't pivot around the center of every graphic. So in order to change this anchor point, what we need to do is go ahead and select this little thing, or you can press Y for a shortcut, and this is your pan behind tool, and this is pretty much the same thing as your anchor tool. They just gave it a new name. Now when you have this selected, you can move this entire anchor point, and what this does is give you a new pivot point. So now if you go ahead and move this X rotation or Z rotation, this will be very clear. You see that instead of pivoting around the middle, it pivots around that one pivot point. And again, you can move that around, so you can pivot around the bottom right instead of the top left. And this is how you pivot around different points, and again, that's called the anchor point. Now the next thing I want to talk to you guys about, now that you got your pivot set wherever you want it, go ahead and select your selection tool again. I want to talk to you guys about how to change kind of the view. So, and I'm not talking about the show either, I'm talking about the perception of your composition. So go ahead and go up to here, and these are your camera tools, track X, Y, and track Z. These are two ones I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. Now go ahead and track XY camera tool, and go ahead and start playing around with this. And as you see, it gives the perception that your composition is moving around. But if you go down here to position, when I'm moving this around, position isn't changing. So if you're like, alright, what's going on? Well, what's happening is not actually the scale or position is changing, but your perception of where you are, your eyes, according to the thing, is changing, or the camera. So again, if this might be a lot easier if you see from Z. If you grab the Z, it lets you zoom in, because remember the Z axis is toward me and away from me. This allows you to zoom in your composition but not actually alter your composition. It pretty much just gives you a different position, or a different perception, I mean, and just gives you different angles that you can look at your composition but not alter your composition, if that makes sense. So this these two camera tools are only if you want to view your composition in a different way. Again, this is just view, so none of these properties change, only our perception of how we're looking at it. So just play around with that for a little bit, and trust me, if you do it for like 30 seconds, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Another thing that's going to give you some different 3D views is the shortcuts F10, F11, and F12. Now I can't press them because my camera or my screen recorder is going to mess up, but if you do, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Now the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is sometimes when you're working with 3D, it's going to be kind of complicated when you're only seeing one view at a time. So what After Effects did is give you a way to view multiple views on the same workspace. And this is how they make like different 3D programs. This is what they usually do. So After Effects incorporated this as well. And to do that, to get multiple views all at the same time, what you need to do is go down to here and go ahead and select one of these views. Probably the most common is this 4 views, and this gives you 4 views at once. So go ahead and select your selection tool or something, and as you see, when we move one of them, they all change. So these aren't 4 different compositions, so don't think that. This is just 4 different views. And this way, this might be a little more clear when you're using the cameras and stuff like that. But as you can see, when you change one, Let me grab my camera. When you change one of them, then the rest change with it. And I just want to point out that, well, again, like I said, these aren't 4 different compositions. It's just 4 different views, and this will help you a lot, especially when you have pretty complex 3D compositions and graphics and stuff like that. So this will give you just a bunch of different perspectives on how to work with your composition. So again, don't forget the anchor points, how to change your anchor point or pivot point. Don't forget that you can change the camera angle that give you a better outlook or perception of what you want to view without actually changing the composition itself. And again, if you want to work with multiple views or go back to your main view, here are your options down here to give it a more traditional 3D program kind of feel. So that's that for this tutorial. Not a very exciting tutorial, but these simple tools and tips will help you a lot when you're working with 3D, and I'm going to be going over these later, and I don't want you guys to get lost, so that's why I had to tell you. So thank you guys for watching. In the next tutorial, I promise I'll do something a little more exciting. But for this one, just thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next tutorial.